rope burn has to be about the most painful thing you can do to yourself. And yet I intentionally did it at the gym. The gym has been wildly busy. It's starting to ease off, which is great, which means we get to do different things and workouts. And I rocked on down by myself. That's important, to the gym on Wednesday morning. And there were rope climbs in the workout. I was so freaking stoked. I was like, yes, haven't done this for ages. I reckon I'm stronger. Maybe I'm not quite as heavy as I was before, so this is going to be good. And turned around and realized I didn't have my gym buddy with me. And so no one, namely me, had thought to bring the bag with all the stuff inside it. So you know absolutely nothing about CrossFit. You can have a whole lot of gear for this, which seems ridiculous given you're going to the gym and skipping and lifting weights. But one of the things I have are these knee sleeve things for my knees when I'm doing really heavy squats is when I generally use them. But they're also really good for putting down around your ankle when you do rope climbs, because otherwise you need long socks. I'm not cool. I'm 44. I don't wear long socks to the gym. So I always have my knee sleeve, and I put my knee sleeve on, and that way I don't get rope burn on my ankle when I do rope climbs. Because I didn't have Scarlett with me, I didn't even know why she wasn't. Oh, yes, I do. She was out diving with sharks again. Kind of a regular thing for her now. And so her job is always to make sure she's got the water bottles, got the key for the bike, and got the gear for the gym. And I got a bit lazy because she always takes care of that. Jumped on my scooter, boosted down to the gym, didn't have my knee sleeves. But I really wanted to climb, so I climbed anyway, knowing full well I would end up with a rope burn on my ankle in the first round, and then did however many more rounds after that there was, 3 or 4. But I did it anyway. Something we sometimes do, right? Sometimes we do something knowing it's probably going to make our lives not so good in the long run, because in the moment we're really excited to do it and get it done. I've been quiet for 4, 5, probably by the time you hear this, probably 6 weeks, if we're really honest. And up until then, I'd been really deliberate about hitting this consistently every week. And so we had a little pause. And I want to tell you about what's been going on, what caused that. I have been working in 2026 to really simplify and complete the work that we've been doing at the Moxie movement. And what happened was, instead of recording the podcast episodes, I was sitting here in my office, not at my desk. I was sitting on the floor. There was bits of paper and my spiders dying across the freaking floor, handwriting. I've got voice memos, screenshots, scribbled bits of paper, half typed up notes everywhere. And I didn't want to lose any of those insights or thoughts. And every single piece of scribbled paper, screenshotted word or quote from a book with a note of mine written next to it, every untitled Google Doc in my drive was all recorded because I didn't want to lose it. And every single one of them, however I recorded it, was me trying to name something I could feel, I could sense, but I haven't been able to land quite yet. And this is the new thinking, the new frameworks, the new standards that we've been working on. And I just really knew it had to be said properly or not at all. And I'm looking at all these bits of paper, my docs, my voice memos, and thinking, you're out there right now, still running on the old advice, still being told dumb shit to batch your content, get more leads, just hire a VA and set better boundaries, and wondering why it's not working. And that is what got me back in front of the camera today. Welcome back to the Moxie Movement podcast. Hey, I'm Sarah Greener, And if you're new here, you've landed at episode 101. That feels quite significant, which means there's 100 episodes of free business coaching advice behind you in the feed. You can go and find your favorites later, but stay here first. If you've been here for a little while, we've been a bit quiet. We took a deliberate pause, not because I ran out of things to say. That's unlikely, right? But because what I needed to say needed to be built from the ground up before I said it. Well, I mean, Sarah, you've been talking about this shit for ages. The marketing movement has now been in existence for, I guess, 3 years. And I've been in this space for a decade. And what I've watched over and over is women like you doing everything right and still feeling like something's missing. Not missing from you, not missing from you as the business owner, missing from the advice, the structure, the frameworks that people keep handing you and they're not working. The advice most women running real businesses that we have access to is built for someone whose life has just one lane. Wake up, work, go to sleep. That's who it was designed for. Not for you, not for someone who's also the primary parent, the emotional regulator of a household, the woman sitting on the school committee, the one who coaches the weekend sport and runs the fundraiser to get the uniforms and takes the phone call from an aging mum at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday when she has a client meeting at 3:15. That's not a special kind of woman. That's just the operating reality of the woman that I work with. And the gap between the advice they've been given and the life they're actually living, that gap is expensive. Not just financially, but in every single currency that matters in our world. So that's what I've been doing. That's what we've been doing in that quiet. Is building something way more complete. I want to chat with you about exactly what that looks like. So when you start to hear the language over the next episodes, you know where it came from and why it's different. The framework we work from is called the Easeful Standard. And the Easeful Standard starts with a belief because I think it's more radical than it actually sounds. Women running real businesses while raising real families deserve to enjoy both. Not eventually, not once the sales hit the next milestone, not once the kids are in school or out of the house. Now, I know that sounds very obvious, but I want you to hold that just for a second, because if you actually believe that, not just something you agreed with intellectually, something that you embodied, you would not be making decisions you're currently making. The way you're paying yourself, the way you're structuring your week, the way you're absorbing costs that should be absorbed by the business and not by your body. The reason most business advice doesn't work for us is not that we're bad at business because we're women. It's that the advice doesn't account for the full picture of our lives. And so it stays above the surface, above the waterline. Tactics, strategies, systems, tips, tools, templates, content plans, all useful. Don't get me wrong, this stuff matters. All incomplete on their own. And when we go below the surface, that's where the real work is. And that's what, from this episode forward, we're really going to go after that. So if you think about this like an iceberg, the tips, the tools, the tactics are this stuff above the waterline. And it's where we start, right? The women that come to me, the women that I've worked with over the last 10 years, they come looking for business advice and they're after those tips, those tools, those templates. But if you think about it like that iceberg, you recognize that it's just that little bit above the water. And the fascinating thing about an iceberg is no matter how much wind, storm you throw at the top of it, that's not the direction it's going to go. The direction of that whole iceberg always goes in the direction of the base, even if it's going in the complete opposite direction of the wind at the top. And so from here forward, you're going to see us go below the surface, because top of that's useful and it matters, but it's kind of a shallow conversation. And I know you're not here for a shallow conversation. You want to go deep. And so when we go below that waterline, we go below the surface, there are 3 outcomes that we are completely obsessed with, making sure that we get for the women that we work with. And the first one is generous capacity. And this outcome asks and answers a really key question in your life. How can I be vibrant and present in all of my roles? The second one that we're absolutely obsessed with is enduring strength. How can my business thrive beyond me when I leave the room, when I'm not here? And the third outcome we are completely obsessed with is rewarding returns. I know this one's a bit awkward. Yes, I'm talking about money. But the question that we have to ask and answer here is, how do we keep more of what we earn for our family, for our team? Because what would it do for you, your family, your employees, your business, if you had all 3 of those things with predictability, with reliability and certainty? Generous capacity, enduring strength, and rewarding returns. What would that really mean for you? But as important as those 3 things are, it's not just about that, is it? It's about you, the woman at the heart of all of this. You are tenacious. You are tenacious in your care for your family. You are tenacious in your business and the results you want to get. You're tenacious in the care for your employees and your contractors. You're tenacious in the service you give to your customers. And you're tenacious in your freaking community. And what I've learned about women like you is that you want, more than anything else, is to integrate those 2 parts of your life, those 2 parts of who you are, seamlessly together. And that's why I call women like you tenacious integrators. And in this work we've been doing, I've discovered, and my team have discovered, that we truly believe that a tenacious integrator like you truly deserves a business and life that is built for generations. A business strong enough to run without you. A family resourced enough to rise because of you. A legacy steady enough to outlast you. And we've worked hard, really hard, over the last decade, and then in the last 3-4 months, to really bring this together. A real street-tested, got the scars and the snot and the tissue earned framework for you that actually works for our lives. And so over the next few episodes, we're going to go into it. The framework, yes, but mostly the reality underneath it, named clearly enough that you stop recognizing it as a category and start recognizing it as your Tuesday. Because my goal here isn't to be inspiring. I don't think I'm particularly inspiring. Certainly don't think I'm super motivating all the time. My clients tell me I tell them depressing things all the time that make them want to throw shoes at the camera. The goal here is recognition. If you've been here since the early episodes, you know that's always been the goal. I think what's changed now is the precision. What we've been building in the quiet is a more complete picture. And I think when you hear it, you'll know that's exactly what it is. up and called it. So the question I got is, how do you stop every emergency from hijacking your calendar? And I think what they mean by that is hijacking your week. Oh man, the question's wrong. The emergency isn't hijacking your week or your calendar. Your calendar, your schedule, your week is never built to hold what your real business and real life look like. And so it has no resilience. This one here is about the fact that you still assume that a week will run perfectly. Now, I would love to tell you that exists. I would love to tell you that at some point in the future, when the kids get older, when they stop being babies, or they go to school, or they become teenagers, or they leave the house, that you will have that perfect week with no emergencies. But that would be utter bullshit. In 20 years of running businesses, I have never, ever had a week that went exactly as I planned it. Ever. I wear way too many hats and way too many roles for way too many people for that to actually happen. And so this is not a calendar problem. This is a structure problem. This is a rhythm problem. You need a week that's designed around what's actually going on right now. Not that theoretical one that's going to play out perfectly. It needs to be planned in. Emergencies are not a surprise. They're not a surprise to you. You'd be surprised if you had a week where you didn't have one. So instead, we want to assume there will be emergencies. There will be interruptions. Okay, there will be an emergency that your customer or your client comes up with. There will be a sick kid. There will be something your husband needs help with. Your aging parents will need you for something. You need to start building based on that logic right there. You have to know that every week needs space in it for emergencies. And when you start doing that, when you start going, there's a pretty good chance that an employee will call in sick. Statistically, about 20% of your employees will not be at work every week since COVID. Pre-COVID, it was 10%. Now it's 20%. If you employ 5 people, that's 1 person away every freaking day. So someone's going to call in sick, or your kid's going to get sick, or your hubby's going to get sick, or a piece of equipment will break, or like us, there'll be a freaking cyclone blows through and you'll have to cancel and reschedule and refund and move everybody on the cruises. That is the baseline. And so create a calendar, create a week from that place that needs space and time for that. Assume they're going to happen. Figure out on average, how many emergencies do you have happen each week? And then put that in. Because if you have space and time to take a breath when an emergency happens and go, I planned for this to happen, all of a sudden, you will stop feeling like whatever happened hijacked your calendar and start recognizing that how you've been building your week and your business doesn't work. You don't get 40 perfect hours. You don't get 5 perfect days in a working week. So stop treating like you do. And if you start planning these unexpected moments in, your structure will breeze with your life. The rhythm of how you create in your business will start to roll with that in a way that it hasn't done before. We're not talking about time management or calendar management. This for us is about looking at the structure and making sure it's built for us as Tenacious integrators. Is our calendar built for us in our average normal life? Not the Instagram version that someone's selling you. They don't live around here. They don't live in this place. You stop emergencies hijacking your calendar when you put your emergencies in advance, because you know they're going to happen. This week, I just want you to sit with something. I don't want you to do anything. Just notice. I know that might be tricky, but just be in the moment and just notice. Where in your business are you taking advice that was built for someone who doesn't have your life? You don't have to answer it out loud. Just notice where it lands. Next episode, we're going to dive into the zone that some of you are actually operating in right now. And I'll tell you something, it's probably not where you think it is. Some of you are going to hear it and feel relief. And some of you are going to feel a bit confronted. Both responses are useful. Till next time, stay moxie.